Hello, everyone. My name is Shane German, the music director at WYCE 88.1 FM in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Today, we're joined in our virtual studio by Jose Gonzalez. Visionary Swedish-Argentinian singer-songwriter guitarist Jose Gonzalez has announced the release of his eagerly awaited fourth solo studio album, Local Valley, which is out September 17th on Mute Records. This new album, his first new studio recording in more than 5 years, and his first album to contain songs in all of the languages he speaks, English, Spanish, and Swedish, expands on his unique delivery of intimate, short, melodic, and rhythmical songs with influences from Latin America and Africa. Local Valley showcases Jose's impressive finger-picking skills and remarkable sonic creativity while masterfully delving into epic themes and metaphysical investigation. This gorgeous new album is his most nuanced, ambitious, and philosophically profound work thus far, proving that music does not need to be loud to be heard. Please welcome to WYCE, Jose Gonzalez.
What a nice introduction.
Oh, thank you so much, Jose. It's such a pleasure to meet you. You came here in this area in Michigan with string theory a few years ago, and we just love you here in Grand Rapids. And congratulations on a gorgeous new record.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm really pleased with it and happy that it's slowly coming out. And this third single from it.
Now a lot has changed in the past 5 years. You became a father.
Yeah,
Um, and,
exactly.
and and how has fatherhood changed both you as a man and you as a songwriter?
Yeah, so I feel like I've matured. You get forced to mature when you become a dad, a parent, and yeah, I think it's been an interesting couple of years where I was touring a bit during the first 2 years and trying to write once in a while, but yeah, it wasn't until my daughter started going to kindergarten that I was able to uh, focus on the writing and felt like I had a flow, and then I noticed that yeah, the writing came pretty easy. I felt like all the singing with my daughter made an impact on me. So it was easier to find melodies. I felt more okay to go stray away from my dogmatic, repetitive style, and was more okay to do classic song structures. I've also felt a bit more playful. So I have the songs that are sort of deep and heavy, dealing with themes like death and existentialism, but also songs that are very silly and playful, adding drum machines and also layered vocals and guitars. A bit inspired by the how easy things are to kids. They don't think too much; they just do. So that's how I feel like I've been changing a bit.
And the first single that we had off the album is El Invento, which is actually one of your first that you've properly released that you sing in Spanish. Um, and you tend to ask very heavy questions. You seem to always be searching for this existential
Yeah.
meaning of life. How how do you go through that process? And I mean, we're always growing and searching. Does it ever become too much for you to think in those terms all the time within your songwriting?
It doesn't become too much. In a way, it's unavoidable for me when I'm trying to write music that matters, trying to write lyrics that matter. I lean towards the philosophical questions, and I feel like I've found frameworks for thinking that
Hmm.
help me pretty well. So I myself don't find too much struggle in thinking about those things. I'm very interested in the naturalistic worldview that is coming up through our collective knowledge, through all the discoveries that are made throughout, especially the last couple of decades, with everything in biology, but also information theory. that makes me very curious and very excited. And of course, there are extremely many questions unanswered, and that only makes me curious. It doesn't make me anxious at all. So the reason why I write about these, actually, I don't write about so much the answers. I just put the questions like
Questions.
in El Invento. Um, the reason I like using that in my music is because I know many people think about these issues, and many cultures come up with their own answers, and many times they come up with answers even though they're just pretending to know things they don't know.
Right.
And I want to push people a bit with my lyrics. So apart from just making music that sounds uh, good, I'm completely happy with people just enjoying the sounds, but I also enjoy putting questions that are more in line with art. The way that when I go to a modern art museum, many of the great pieces are done by artists that are trying to push our intuitions.
Hmm. Now, during the global pandemic, were you recording? Because you recorded this in your like summer home. Were you
Yeah.
recording this during the pandemic, or was this prior?
So most of it was prior. So I wrote all the songs. I had a almost finished album in February, and then we met up with labels. We were like, yeah, maybe it needs one or two more songs,
Hmm.
and then the pandemic came, and all of a sudden, the one or two more songs, I was able to work on them for a couple of months. Um, so I actually and a song like Visions, I was thinking about existential threats to humanity while writing it, and had the lyrics done in very early February. But then when the pandemic came, I was recording it, so it felt very timely. Um, but yeah, the lyrics were already done. Uh, During the pandemic, I had the time to rehearse a bit more on a couple of songs. So Valle Local, one of the Western African inspired uh, songs, I was able to push up the tempo more and more
Yeah.
with all the free weeks I had.
Now, I don't know about how it was in Sweden, but just here in the United States during the pandemic, it wasn't just the pandemic. We also had, the George Floyd murder. We had a
Mm,
very, very tense election that was going on.
mm,
So it was like constant, like almost hostile information,
mm, mm,
Um, are you able to get like into a serene place and cut off all of that weird noise that's going
mm,
on so that you can get your music out in an intimate
mm,
way, because the noise is gone. That's what I love about your music. It's intimate, and when I listen to you, the noise disappears, and
mm,
I'm taken on a journey, and I can think in solitude and silence, and the
mm,
noise is gone. Um,
mm.
do you
That's great.
get it? Yeah. Do you get into a place when you're working and creating to turn off that noise?
Yeah, I mean, it was hard. So the tools I use are meditation. I like walking in forest or running with books, with podcasts, and also with my own music when I'm working. That really helps me to maybe to connect to these question to the news, but from a more long-term perspective. So listening to maybe an expert talk about these topics for an hour instead of
Hmm.
watching the news or
Hmm.
listening to the news. So that's maybe one thing. Another thing is in Sweden, I think we had a different experience to many other countries where we were never in a lockdown situation. So
Hmm.
and kindergarten was open the whole time. So we were always able to go out and play in the parks and see other people outdoors. So it wasn't this like dense type of solitude that many people felt, locked in, and maybe locked in, but also just watching the news all the time. With
Mm-hmm.
that said, and March and April just disappeared. It was such a world important world event where I felt like, as since I studied biochemistry and more specifically herpes viruses, I felt like I knew a bit more than
Mm-hmm.
many people, and felt that it was very interesting to follow. So I just left the recordings to the side, and read loads of articles, and yeah. So it's been like both, like
Mm-hmm.
focusing on what's happening and also just tuning off.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the best tools for me is, of course, meditation. The more you train on meditation, the more you can distance yourself from whatever is happening in front of you or out in the world. You can have this uh, second person type of look at yourself, like, okay, now I'm feeling anxious, and
Mm-hmm.
so that's one of the favorites.
And you've been open and honest about your struggles with mental health issues.
Mm,
Suffering psychosis, actually.
mm.
Um, how are you doing with that journey and staying healthy? Is the meditation helping you through that? Have you kind of overcome that psychosis?
Yeah, no, definitely. So the psychosis have been in three episodes, and the last one was a decade ago. So I
Mm,
feel like that's more or less behind me. I still need to be vigilant, and meditation is one of the tools I'm using to, similar to when you train your muscles, you can
mm-hmm,
also do things that are better or worse for your brain. And that's one of my favorite topics the last couple of years, to see what's the news on how you can go from healthy to even more healthy. So working
mm-hmm,
on your resilience, and that uh, it's all from what you eat to when you eat to
mm-hmm,
how you sleep, to how you move. And I feel like I have a toolbox that seems to be working. And
mm-hmm,
one of the main things is just keeping where's yeah, I'm using a ring to really follow my sleeping habits,
mm-hmm.
and see if I'm doing things that are in line with a good rest, or not. And that's maybe my biggest what do you say? The last couple of years, that's been the main thing that helped me have a healthy mind.
You have another great song on this record called Head On, which you say is inspired by Fela Kuti's Zombie. But uh, you say that it's a list of instructions, a manual, and you mean both straight ahead, but also head on, like put your head on and switching your mind. It's a gorgeous song. Talk to me about that song, Head On.
Sure, it's yeah, it's one of the favorites on the album, especially because it's energetic.
Mm-hmm.
It's a riff that I was trying out when I met Bombino, the artist from Niger.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very much inspired by Western African
Mm-hmm.
guitar playing. Um, and then the song "Zombie" by Fela Kuti, I just realized while writing it that, okay, this sounds pretty similar
Mm-hmm.
to Fela. Then also the hardcore music that I used to write with my band when I was a teenager. So uh, you're angry at something and you're screaming, and in this case, it is like a list of instructions, similar to when someone is training for a marathon or a sport. So like run left, run right, do
Mm-hmm.
this, do that. But then I also have a couple of sentences that gives you a hint what I'm thinking of in terms of what I consider our collective struggles, and our maybe our common enemy,
Mm-hmm.
what could be our common enemies um, in terms of economics, for example. So I have a couple of sentences. Uh, um, value extractor,
Mm-hmm.
rent seeker,
Mm-hmm.
corrupt oligarchs. So these are terms that I found in a book by Mariana Mazzucato, who's an economist in London. And yeah, just trying to find things that are our common, could be our common goal. I'm thinking of the pandemic, how if we just focus on collaborating, we could beat this type of uh, natural occurring problems
I
and
just
unnatural. Yeah.
Yeah, I just love your work. I've been a huge fan. We love you here at WYCE, and you're always. Um, I think I read that um, you view things. You know, we're smart apes on a quest to understand ourselves and our place in the cosmos, and your music really encompasses that. And then you're going to be going on a co-headline tour with Rufus Wainwright here in the United States in September. He had a fantastic album that came out last year called Unfollow the Rules. That is going to be a fantastic tour with you and
Yeah, I'm
him.
really looking forward to that. Yeah.
What a great pairing that is, because you're both both your album and his album from last year. What a lineup that is going to be. Are you excited to come back to the United States and tour this record?
Oh yeah, I'm super excited and yeah, we were supposed to play together last year and it was of course postponed and
Mm-hmm.
I'm really happy that it's coming up and yeah, I agree it's a great pairing and
Yeah.
I look forward to open up for him and his band. I'll be
Well,
playing solo and I'm very
mhm.
excited to play the songs from this album that I feel like it's gonna be um, uh, what do you say, a new start for me to
Mhm.
try to find both my classic style, just guitar and vocals, but then also adding drum machine and maybe some loop pedals to imitate the songs from the album.
Mhm. Well, it's a beautiful new record. Local Valley is out September 17th on Mute Records. Co-headlining tour with Rufus Wainwright here in the United States begins in September. Jose, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us today. Really a gorgeous new record. We love it.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Take care.
Yeah, take care.